And a business is a business because you're bringing in cash flow and you're using it for sustainability in terms of your lifestyle, supporting your family, and it's a money-making venture. So that confuses a lot of people, not knowing how to do that, where to focus, how to learn those business skills. But I've discovered that it doesn't take much to help people to get that clarity. And I just get wonderful testimonials every day, which is very heartwarming to me. People that have read my book and just said, "Oh my God, this just helps so much," and I'm reading it again, and it's a workbook. So it takes people right into changing the confusion and transforming it into clarity. That's underlying what my book does and what I try to help people do.
Right.
And it's interesting, when you introduced me, you said I was a family therapist. I actually used to be a family therapist for a long time, and I stopped doing that about 12 or 15 years ago. But the skills I learned from that really did carry over to this next piece of my life, in terms of really understanding the way people think and how people need to transform. So,
and that's exactly why I used it, Kaya.
Yeah.
Because I already knew that you being a therapist, you were in the helping profession, and all the skills you learned, you're using today as a coach.
That's correct. Yeah, and it's so funny because when I quit finally doing the family therapy, it really wasn't the right thing for me to do. We go to college and we follow a track, and later we realized it wasn't quite right, and that was one of the things for me. But when I quit, it was like I don't want to ever be involved with dealing with this kind of work again. But it's right here in my lap again, really, because it isn't about dealing with family issues or any of that, but it's the same thing about people overcoming obstacles. And you're overcoming obstacles when you're growing a business. And I tell people all the time that growing your own business and being an owner of a business, it's like constantly taking a personal growth workshop. You're constantly having to look in a mirror and deal with your own issues around the fears and confusion, thinking you're not smart enough, not understanding how to do something. Taking risks is a huge part of it. Your attitude is paramount. And so you're constantly having to deal with those obstacles and pull yourself into new places and take yourself out of your place of comfort. And if you stay in a place of comfort, it's comfortable, it feels great, but you don't necessarily grow as a person. And in order to grow your business, you have to step out of that and go into places that feel foreign and you don't understand them until they become second nature and they become your new comfort place.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay, Kaya, I have a request.
Yeah.
Take a deep breath.
Okay.
As deep as you can. And let it all go. And listen to this question. This is from experience that I have gained from running Real Coaching Radio Network for 4 years. We attract to our network the type of people who have already mastered their biggest challenge in their life, and now they are able to teach it to others. My question is, or request, is that you share that with the audience right now, if you can, in terms of what was your biggest challenge that you had to overcome in your life to be able to do what you do now.
Yeah, I can answer that. I know the answer to that already, so, and I'm happy to share that. I think the biggest challenge for me, being female and growing up in the 1950s in Ohio, the message I was given from my parents, from my community, and from the world at large, this is going to, you may not be surprised at this, but this is a 50s message to a child that's a female child, was that I was going to just grow up and get married, and my husband would take care of me. And now, it didn't mean that I bought into that, but I bought into it in an unconscious way, I realized much later in life, because I wasn't encouraged to actually have a career or have a profession. It wasn't important. They did want me to go to college, and this is true, and this wasn't told to me in a laughing way. It was dead serious. It was like, we want you to go to college and become a teacher, so in case your husband dies, you will have something to fall back on. They were dead serious with that. So I didn't go to, when I started out in my adult life, I didn't think I was smart enough to actually do anything on my own. I didn't have the confidence. I had to overcome a lot of that conditioning from my past. So, in order to do what I'm doing now, in order to actually think I can be an